Hi everyone, welcome to Appliance Advisors with Yale Appliance. I'm Francesco, joined as always by Dennis.
How you doing today, Fran?
Very good. I was going to ask you the same question.
I know, but I tried to beat you.
Coming right off on that one.
It's fine.
No, I appreciate it. Listen, doing okay. So today we're going to talk about gas versus induction ranges and just cooking in general. And that's certainly something we've been talking a lot about here over the last 6 months or so, where gas has kind of been in the news. But before we kind of dive into that, just want to say, if you're watching us on YouTube here, if you could like and subscribe. Or same thing if you're joining us on any podcast format that you listen to. If you could like and subscribe, we'd really appreciate that. So gas has kind of gotten a little bit of a bad rap lately. Maybe justified or unjustified for sure. But let's talk about some of the differences with gas and induction just in general, and maybe why gas has kind of been in the news so much lately.
Yeah, I mean, let's back up to just 75 to 80% of every store sells gas. That is still the dominant type of fuel type. But it's natural with all the worldwide events and just, the awareness to combustibles and different things that people are concerned about, this push to go electric. Or in the most newest form, induction. So electric represents the other 25% of all of that, just to give you kind of a perspective. Induction sits somewhere between 7 to 10% of sales. Growing slow, but I do believe that there's a building to this, and I do know that that is the way a lot of folks want to go. So benefits right off the top with electric cooking in general versus gas is just cleanup. It's a smooth piece of glass as opposed to all the indents and crevices and whatnot to clean. But moreover than that, some considerations definitely when you're doing the two. So what are some of the things you think about for someone that really says, should I do gas or electric? What do you kind of ask about?
Yeah, for sure. And especially when we're talking about induction specifically, because I think that is definitely where some of that market's going, because with induction, it's, you talk about safety too. So the big difference even between induction and electric really is just that glass top with a burner underneath, and it just heats up the glass and that's how it cooks. Induction's a little bit different. So it's that magnetic field that really connects to the pot or pan that it's on and is really transferring that heat directly to that. So if there's no pot or pan there's really no burner you can turn on. So
it's safe.
Exactly. Super safe.
So we hear about that with aging in place.
Yeah.
Folks that may, be a bit more forgetful. I could probably do such. Or kids, for sure. That's always a concern.
Pets sometimes we hear
people,
about that.
Pets. My animal jumps up there.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, if your animal, child, or anyone, they would have to have a pot or a pan and an intention to cook for this thing to heat. Yeah. Otherwise, it could be on high and it's cool. It's off effectively, right? So that kind of makes a lot of sense for some people.
Even performance, we hear a lot about people, especially people that have always used gas. Like, the gas is just so much faster, or I know I can see the flame, so it's I know how high it's
There
cooking.
is something to see in a flame. Some people do like that. I won't take that away from anyone. The speed is irrelevant. Actually, induction will outperform 99.9% of all. I don't care if you have a bag full of money, most powerful range you can get.
No question.
We've handled the speed as well, high to low. When you think about cooking on gas, those cast iron burners and all the metal iron that's around the actual burner itself gets very hot. So even though I'll give you this analogy. Pasta's about to boil over. You see the white foam getting to the top. If you turn it down, even though you catch it in time, many times it continues to go. And it just boils over, now you get a mess. Induction is almost like a light switch. Shutting it off and on, it's very reactive. And certainly there is some reflective heat to the glass, but way different than that. So really, if someone said to me, hey, I want the most responsive cooking unit, induction is. It boils faster and it's safer and it's more efficient. Now, that said, there's a lot of consideration still. And why, if I say all this is such a small amount? I mean, we should say this, that at Yale, we haven't had an electric cooktop on our showroom floor for almost 15 years. We believe so strongly in the performance of it. Back then, 15 years ago, very expensive. Now, very mainstream.
Speaking of induction, induction versus electric.
Think of the flat screen TV. Back in the day, they were a ton of money and now very affordable. That's induction. So really, price has been removed as the objective. Then people's complaint was, well, I heard I have to buy expensive pots and pans. No, they're very inexpensive. You can get them anywhere. You can buy pans from $20 that will work to induction to $200, So there's a wide, so really the barriers of entry for that have kind of been removed. So continuing on, so why would now the house is a different issue, because if you had an electric stove today or a gas stove and you said, I want to change over, you do need some considerations. What are they?
Not as simple as just kind of, taking out the gas. So Gas, for the most part, there's certainly dual fuel ranges and things like that that require more power with the electric oven, but traditional all gas ranges, those really operate on a standard 110 volt
toaster
plug.
Exactly. I always say like a toaster plug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Induction or electric certainly requires more. It's a 4-prong, 220 volt plug. So you're gonna need to do some electrical work there. That's just kind of first and foremost. You gotta make sure you have that capability.
And you have the amperage, right? So someone could have someone has 220 today and says, oh, I have an electric stove. I wanna unplug this. I wanna plug in one of these induction I've heard all about. You have to go right down to the fuse that actually runs that outlet. And most electric stoves run on a 30 or 40 amp circuit. Induction, it's 40 to 50 on average, more often 50.
For sure.
So you want to be careful there to make sure that you check that. That could be a hidden cost.
Absolutely.
Not knowing the situation per
And then it's kind of, capping that gas line as well when you're removing the gas. We kind of estimate that's typically about $3-4 grand or so, kind of when you're not necessarily the cost of the appliance, but if you're looking to go from gas to induction or electric, just the cost of the electrical upgrades and capping the gas line and doing those sort of things, you're really looking at that extra expense for sure to do that. Is it worth it? Listen, that's.
Well, I would say, let's say this. I'm going to ask the audience that. Do you use your cooktop more than the oven? The answer, let me answer for you, it's yes. Like 70% more than you're actually in your oven. Some people 80 or 90. So if you think about your daily use, that is your cooking vessel for 90% of what you cook Monday through Friday. So I don't want to answer it for you, but it's something to think about. And that's why you do see a lot of people doing it. And in the new construction, certainly planning for it. Now we have other things. Again, we want tight envelopes on homes. We know when we do gas stoves, specifically the more powerful ones, in a new age, you need a makeup air system or air exchange for these tight homes to get balance the air in the home. With induction, it doesn't put out nearly the heat. It's super fast to heat up, so HVACs have less taxing. Your hood requirement is much, much less. Recirculation of a hood, if you can't vent outside, is certainly possible and approved. So there are a lot of benefits on that side of things.
For sure. And that's kind of the last thing too I wanted to talk about was, is gas bad for you? And that's where I wanted to kind of get into venting. It's like, that's kind of the thing that gets overlooked a lot too, is the venting. And really, you should be doing that with induction or gas.
You should.
But you want to make sure that you have proper ventilation, the proper size ventilation, the proper power, the CFMs like we talk about. You want to make sure you have all that and I wouldn't never say that gas is just not that it's bad for you or anything like that. But if you're not venting that and you have all that heat and the fumes and things like that, certainly, it's not great to just have that lingering in the home. But if you have the proper size vent, you turn it on, a few minutes before you start cooking, you have the right size, the right power. It's definitely not to say that gas is just not safe in your home. And that's kind of part of the way that's going. But again, you always want to make sure you have the proper ventilation there, which kind of often gets overlooked.
And here we'll finish with this, I think. The kind of fun part about induction this way is they've kind of worked backwards, right? They've made the most affordable versions of induction first, where a lot of times you see it in the high end and it works its way down. And it certainly has always been in the high end. But really the mass product worked reverse. So you're seeing it's very entry is very easy in terms of the cost of the good. Now you're actually seeing the opposite happen.
For sure.
And you're seeing brands like Wolf and Miele and Thermador and Blue Star and the list goes on and on.
Bigger ranges,
making of course cooktops, but now range tops, the big pro style with the knobs in the front. Pro ranges. I mean, Thermador just launched a 30 and 36 inch. We know Blue Star just launched a 30. They're coming out with a 48 next and then a 36. So the point is, I think with all of this stuff covering the full base from affordable to premium in all these different sizes, going into more and more showrooms with the headlines in the news, induction is going to continue to grow. Absolutely. It's just up to you, the listening audience, to figure out if it makes sense to you. And hopefully this episode did some of that.
Yeah, hopefully we answered some of those questions. So that's going to do it for today. Again, if there's any, what we'd like to see, if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on any podcast, if you can like and subscribe to our channel, we'd really appreciate it. If you have any comments, questions, ideas for future episodes, leave those in the comments below, and we always take those into consideration. Love to see those as much as possible. And finally, just want to talk about one event that we're really excited about here at Yale, and that's the Appliance Innovation Summit, which is going to be in our Boston showroom on October 12th. Really geared towards the trade people. And that's going to be for architects, designers, builders, anybody like that. And It's going to be a really cool kind of all-day event in our Boston showroom. You'll be able to get a year's worth of your CEU credits with the classes that we're going to be offering there as well. Secret rooms where we're going to show kind of really kind of cool new product that's coming out, never before seen product. Lots of demos from the manufacturers, food everywhere, inside, outside. We're gonna have demos, we're gonna have chefs there. So it's gonna be a really guest speakers. So a really cool event. And that's gonna be again, October 12th in our Boston showroom. So if you're in the trade, we'd love to see you there. And I think you get a ton out of it. And as well too, just a really great networking event to be able to talk to other people in the trade. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, you covered it, Fran. Good job. I mean, don't forget the secret rooms, right?
Secret rooms.
I just like secrets.
We love
so
the secret rooms.
It's the secret rooms.
We don't even know it's the secret rooms.
So.
It's
secret.
Yeah,
I can't tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
No one can tell us. All right.
So that's
thank you, everyone. Yeah, we did. I think we did. We did all right.
We did all right. Listen, we're always okay. Listen, it can't be too great. So thanks, everyone.
See you next time.